Rolling. Hey everybody, this is the fourth in the Dream Frequency 30 album interview celebrating 30 years of Dream Frequency. As you may know, we have got an album out and it's funded by Kickstarter. So if you'd like to support that, that would be amazing. We're nearly there on the target. Let's make this happen on CD and vinyl. And with me today, I've got me good mate, Kev McDiarmid, aka K69 in the house. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing absolutely fantastic, mate. Absolutely fantastic. Buzzing, as always.
Oh, yeah. He's a tigger. So basically, for those who don't know, me and Kev did the remix on Feel So Real. And there's a weird story of connection with that because we met, well, I can't remember. Well, I can remember this vaguely, but you reminded me when you came to the studio sort of like 28 years later that we'd actually met at Mr. Smith's. And you're going to tell me what the night is.
Yeah.
And we were playing there and it was a Monday night. Dream Frequency got booked to play. It was an amazing night. Back in the day, you could have raves on Monday night, wasn't it? It was
still packed.
And it was still packed. And, you know, on a school night, I mean, it's just ridiculous, isn't it? Well, mate, you describe the night from your perspective.
Well, without sounding too George Michael, New York Central Park City toilets, the whole thing sort of started. Me and a mate of mine, Steve, we used to get there really, really early. We got to know the Groover lads pretty well. Dave Graham, Cy Edwards, Rusty. So they used to let us in through the back passage. That sounds so wrong.
It's going downhill from here, Ken.
It is.
I'm not even editing this out.
2 minutes in, I've already said back passage and toilet. No, dirty.
George Michael.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So the doorman got to know who we were. So yeah, we got in there, and Dave Graham used to kick off and what have you. Eventually, he let me have a go on the decks as well every now and then. But you guys were on. So the Groover lads weren't even there this night. Not when you'd got there. You got there early to set up. So you're up there on the stage setting all your gear up, and me and my mate were just in the loo doing what you do in the toilet, you know, what you usually do in the toilet, and then you just walk in, and I sort of recognised your face, and I went, "All right, mate." Well, and I knew at that point it must be you because at that time of night it's only the doorman, me, and Steve who were in the club.
Yeah.
So I said, "You all right, mate?" And you went, "Oh, yeah, I'm a bit knackered, but looking forward to it," kind of thing, and that was sort of it where we met. You know, had a little bit of a chat, you being your chatty type that you are, and off you went back to the stage. Luckily for us, we had bird's eye view in the DJ booth. Now, the weird thing is, up until this point, as far as DJing goes, I'd had a little play here and there, but I'd always been on the dance floor, dancing, soaking up the atmosphere, enjoying it, you know, like you do. And this particular night, just everything was right. Everything, the people that were in there, the atmosphere, the vibe.
What you're saying without being controversial, Kev, is tablets are working.
Little bit like that, yeah. And I think you guys were due on it. I mean, this was, you know, old school days. It didn't open all night. It was only open till 2. Started at 9. I think you guys come on at 12. And the place was going off big style anyway. And then you come on, and it just went to another level. Well, like I say, we were in the booth, so we had like bird's eye view. And yeah, you know, the place was just in uproar, atmosphere was amazing, and they were just in total adoration of what you guys were doing, and you were hyping it up on the mic like you do. And I just thought, you know what, I need to do something here. Instead of just being on the dance floor, I want this kind of thing. I want to be making people dance. I want to help people have a good time and what have you. So that was it. I went out and bought some Technics, as you do, and a mixer. Mixer was crap, but obviously the Technics were great. And started. And yeah, that's where it all started. Really, that was DJ K being born.
Well, it's crazy, isn't it? Because like everybody has a hero, really. Listen, I'm not saying that I'm your hero, lad. I didn't mean it like that, you know.
I wondered where your Kate was tonight.
I'm just a dickhead from Leyland, and that's what I always tell everybody, you know, I just happen to make music. But no, as in like an inspiration, like, you know, so yeah, obviously we both listened to the house music back in the day. Pre that, we've had conversations, haven't we, before about like the 80s. I'm like a massive Gary Newman fan and Depeche Mode, Kraftwerk, all them boys and all that.
But we didn't really. Well, I didn't really pick that up off you until we come to the studio, if I remember rightly.
Yeah. I mean,
So,
I think people went down several routes before house music. I mean, there's quite a lot that were in more on the soul side, and then it got there and kind of gone from soul to electro, break dancing, and in that way. Whereas I was kind of more of the electronic sort.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's funny. He was just going on about the mic. My mind was just ticking there about he was getting everybody going on the mic. Do you know who gave me that me Rave on Phoenix Nights push in that direction? So, was I'm going to name drop here. It was Laurent Garnier.
Really? I didn't even know he used to do that. Did he used to do a bit of that? Did he?
He would do a little bit
in a French accent, of course.
Well, no, you know what? He had a Manc accent. You could honestly.
Did he really?
Because he lived in Manchester for quite a long time.
Of course, Hacienda resident, wasn't he, for a while?
Yeah, but it was weird though, because I always remember I was cutting my teeth and I did a gig in Chaos in Leeds, something like a Thursday night, and Laurent was playing. I didn't know him, and we became really good friends. After this, but he saw us, and the Tony Annan, the guy who used to do Chaos, he came up to me, and I was really green. I hadn't got a clue. He said, Laurent wants to book you. He wants to take you to Paris, and he wants you to do a gig in his little club. And I'm just like, what shall I do then? He's going, go.
Say yes.
That's it. He's like, say yes, dick. And I was like, oh shit, right, yeah. So anyway, long story short, we played this little club in Paris, and we did 2 nights, and it was a gay club because it was like house music in France. And they had not got a clue what house music was, and it's a bit like that in Britain, really, at the time. But we were a bit more further on than France. So it was this little gay club, and it was more like, like America. It came out the gay scene and all the rest of it. Anyway, so I did the one gig. I know I'm waffling on, but I'm getting back to the mic thing. So, I did my Dream Frequency bit, didn't really say much on the mic. And Laurent came up to me, he goes, no, Ian, you've got to go. Excuse my language. He goes, fucking come on. Fucking come on. Right? So the next night I thought, right, I'm going to do what Laurent said. So I get on the mic and I'm like, fucking come on. And they all started going mental, and I thought, well, that works. I'm just going to carry on doing that shit. So
it definitely works.
There you go. So so going back to that night, I mean, them nights, mate, it was, I know we wax lyrical about it, and so many people who miss that due to age, say, I wish you could have, they see the videos and they go back, but we just knew, we were so lucky to be something special was happening, wasn't it?
I've said that to loads of people. I mean, at one time I was the youngest raver there, and then you reach an age where obviously we're still going, and now we're one of the oldest ravers in the club. But I sort of feel sorry, when you talk to people and you say, well, where did you never go that you wish you had? Oh, the Hacienda, or Legends. They're two of the big ones, and Wigan Pier. But you never went. Well, no, sort of like got into it 96, 97, and it was just it totally bypassed, and I think we were just gifted with it, really. I mean, it was sort of the second coming, so to speak. There was a little blurt in sort of 98, 88, 89 after the,
Which I was on that side. I mean, but by that time, I wasn't doing Dream Frequency. I only started Dream Frequency really in sort of late 89, 90. So I was that, I was still raving and doing Dream Frequency. But that was my sort of, I was in the first wave, and like you say, then there was the second wave. What I think is my favourite part, from sort of 91 to 93 for me.
Yeah.
And then you say but I suppose 94, going through Cream and all that. I mean, people still remember that fondly. You know what I mean? I mean, for me personally, I had 2 children then, and I was still making music under Dancing Divas, but I'd stepped back from really going out because I was having a family. But you were then coming into your...
That was my sort of, peak time. It was sort of after raving and hadn't that, that idea in my head, I wouldn't mind to go with that, actually. Yeah. It took a couple of years of,
And you said Dave Graham helped you out.
Yeah, well, the guy who ran the Luca Rave night, I'm not sure if we mentioned the name earlier on. So that was the name of the night that we were talking about, Luca Rave at Mr. Smith's. So it was his night. It was the Groover lads who used to have a shop in Liverpool. Dave Graham, Rusty, there was a few of them. Si Edwards is the other one. So yeah, we started getting on with the guys really, really well. And when we realised he didn't turn up late some nights, I started taking a tape in, sticking me tape on. And one week he came in and he said, "Why don't you just bring your vinyl? Clearly, you know, you can mix, I can hear you." And I'm thinking, oh, well, it's not that good, really. You know what I mean? But to be fair, back then, it didn't really matter. You know
No,
what I mean?
no.
You'd listen to DJ mixes and they were like car crashes, some of them, and everyone would just go, "Ray!" Didn't matter, you know. So,
Well, I mean,
yeah.
it's a brilliant story that, and sadly it doesn't. Well, maybe it does happen like this, but it's a lot more social media orientated to break into the industry. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whereas then, what I loved about the scene back then is everything was more organic, wasn't it? Like you say, just get on the decks, or there's a tune knocking about. It was in the record show. There's no sort of hype. It was the can-do attitude, wasn't it? But so go on. So were you nervous on your first?
Well, I never even, because when I did them little bits and bobs and Mr. Smith, I never even classed them as a gig. You know what I mean? Because he just said, just jump on so informally. So next week I went with me decks. We had about 10, 13 tracks or something like that. Started playing and he walked in and he's going, oh, nodding his head. And I'm thinking, hang on, I'm getting the seal of approval here. And he's nodding his head. Did it the week after, and that was it. So I thought, yeah, I'm going to take this a bit more seriously now. And that's when I started spending hours and hours and hours on the decks. But it was, like you say, mid-90s. 94 was the first time we had my first residency.
Yeah.
And that was in hometown of Widnes, where I live now.
Yeah.
Club night called Stories. I think the night itself was called Dance Craze. Only a small place, 350 people. But then we were talking about, you know, we'd sort of gone back to the housey, similar to Dancing Divas kind of stuff.
Yeah.
The housey stuff, all the proper old school vibe had gone pretty much by mid-90s.
It kind of morphed off, didn't it? It kind of went into kind of, you know, split into kind of stuff at Zone, which was like still Italian
style.
Or drum and bass had gone that way, like you say.
Yeah.
But like what you were doing then is you know, it's treading the boards, isn't it? You were actually learning your craft. You know,
well, yeah.
When I was doing that, I was still learning my craft of producing and oh, it's great, mate. It's great.
The weird thing is, I knew it. I mean, I didn't know I was doing it at the time until after it, if you know what I mean. Yeah. So I'm there, you know, night after night, hour after hour, doing mixes for all my mates, handing them round. And then you get a break. And that, you know, my break was 96, Feb 96. I just sent one of these tapes off to Music Magazine and got a phone call. So funny this. So my mate was around at our house, my mate Steve, who we used to go to. It was at Mr. Smith's that night.
Yeah.
The night itself. And the phone goes. And he said, can I speak to Kevin, please? And I'm like, yeah, Kevin speaking. And he said, this is Ben Turner from Music Magazine. And I went, just hang on a minute, put the phone to the side, I ran into the living room and said, this you fucking winding me up again? Because he's always playing tricks on me.
Oh no, we remember about this on the first interview with Rob, like, and yeah, he was doing it with bloody Pete Tong saying, yeah, fuck off, and put the phone down, so yeah.
Well, I got back onto the phone and I said, yeah, it's Kev speaking. And I told him the story, like I said, I thought it was a mate winding me up, he's always pulling tricks on me. And he said, just wanted to let you know you've won this month's music mix of the month for Bedroom Bedlam. And I'm like, really? And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, wow. So yeah, they had me a little quarter page in the magazine. I think it was 2 months later it was published. And a couple of months after that, another guy called Chris Hanley, who ended up being the Music Magazine tour manager, got a phone call off him saying, we want you to do a slot at Keele University. You'd be warming up for Tall Paul. And I'm like, oh. That was the oh shit moment when you think, hang on a minute, I'm going to be playing here with the big boys, and that's the fourth double entendre I've made without realising it. So yeah,
I see a pattern
here. yeah. So yeah, that was when things really started to go big because Chris got me some big gigs: Gatecrasher, Progress, Sunday Central. Ministry of Sound, some people might get excited about, but it wasn't the greatest gig of my life, believe me. But it even got bigger than that. I'd play out in Guernsey, Ibiza. Played out in Ibiza loads, S Paradise. So it just sort of went from strength to strength. But the peak for me, 98 to 2000. Yeah. So pretty much it was nearly 10 years well, 8 to 10 years after obviously seeing you and Mr. Smiths and first getting into sort of the ravey kind of sound, there was me on the decks doing what I wanted to do 8 years earlier, thinking, I want some of that. And now I was doing it, playing it at big clubs, like I say, like Gatecrasher. And it was just a dream come true. You know, you got people like Dave Seaman and Pete Tong stood either side of you, and I'm on the decks like this, petrified.
I mean, again, it's like behind every overnight success story, it's like a journey usually about 7 to 8 years, isn't it? It's like you don't realize you're doing it at the time because you're just doing it for the love, and then it kind of just snowballs. And I think that's, again, I always wax on about this organic thing. You know, if you're trying to be somebody or trying too hard, it's always good if it just develops, isn't it? You know, like a friendship or a working partner, or just things happen for the right reason and you're in the right zone. And
oh, for sure. Yeah, definitely. You know, and it's a lot harder now. I've said to loads of guys, I mean, when they see things, you know, posted on social media and you think, God, how lucky you are. You know what I mean? You know, signed up to Whole House and you playing this gig and that gig. But when they actually hear the backstory, it's a different thing altogether. And I'm talking about newer DJs now, because I've mentored a couple of younger DJs, and they sort of say, so you know, how do we need to get up there? And I'm like, it's so hard, mate. The chances of you being really, really successful is probably 0.5%. You know, because these days it's all about social media, marketing, followers. It's not so much when we talk about being organic and back at the rave scene. It was about the music. It was about the performance. It was about the hype that you build and the atmosphere. And these days, it just doesn't seem to be like that.
Mate, we've had this conversation in the studio many times, haven't we? And it can be a bit demoralising. But then after we've had a really good morn, we always end up
as you do.
And just feeling, because that's what it's all about. That's what it's still for me, and I know for you and a lot of the other guys, it's about the music. The music, the music, the music. Because it's style over substance, in it. And I, you know, if I get young lads coming into the studio and like generally they're pretty, you know, like they're on it. But I just, if I want to impart any wisdom, I just say, listen, just do the music, and anything else after that is a bonus. And you know, when I started Dream Frequency 30 years ago, it wasn't like I thought, right, I want to be rich, I want to be famous, I want to. Never happened anyway. But you know, we've had moments of, if people would call fame, but it was just the music. It was just, for us, it was that. And same with you DJing, wasn't it? You played that tune, and to see that buzz and that connection, just to go,
nothing like it.
You know, I've been part of that. You know, not in any sort of ego way, just like, I mean, the superstar DJ kind of came after it. I mean, when you think about it, when we played, I mean, suppose the PA, you look at it, but you didn't really look at the DJ, really, did you? Early days. You just
a lot of clubs I couldn't tell you who they were. I just
exactly.
Legends as a cracker to use as you know, Legends, you'd be queued up out there for 2 hours before it opened. I didn't know who the DJs were until way after it stopped going. You know, dude, you weren't bothered. The tunes were just amazing, and that's all that mattered.
I mean, I think for me, that's when, you know, I get it, because, you know, it is the music business, but for us kind of coming from that rave scene, I personally didn't view it like that. You know, genuinely, I didn't sort of think, right, again, going back to this, we didn't set off to go, I'm going to make this record, I'm going to earn lots of money, and it was just like, we just want to make a banger, simple as, and then oh, fucking hell, it's blowing up, or it's not, it's simple as. So it's thinking. But I'll tell you what, man, it's really good, you know, to see the rave scene so buoyant at the moment, from Scotland all the way down, Rejuve, you know, we've done the interview with Sai, his night, you know, and all the other artists, Mark Archer, Alternate, Shades, K-Class, all them, everybody's, you know, like buzzing, and the Bowlers night that's coming back as well, which we're looking to playing. And
I've got to give a shout out to two of our locals and favourites as well. It's Old School Witness, my mate Chunky. His night it's all Chunky. It's Jimmy. You know, it's always busy, always busy there. Had a cracking night there, and of course Free to Dance in Preston. You know, they're doing it big style, and they're building it up organically as well. You know, it's but all over again.
Yeah, I can't say too much, but we're going to be making an announcement, so we'll keep our lips shut on that. But there's going to be something special happening on August the 1st with Free to Dance helping us out doing something for Dream Frequency. keep it locked. And Mr. K69 could be involved as well, reportedly. But yeah, and a host of others.
Allegedly.
Yeah, allegedly, and a host of others. So yeah, that's it. But yeah, again, Freedom to Dance guys, you know, they're local to us, and they just do things right. And I love people who put their heart and soul into things. You know, it doesn't matter if, for me, it doesn't matter if you're at a big brand. It's like it's where you're coming from. I'm sounding really hippie tonight, but it is, isn't it?
No,
Look,
no,
it's the Rave
right,
ethos, isn't it? It's keeping it.
That's
real.
what I love about those guys.
Yeah.
That's what I love about those guys. That you know, it's not all about the big names. It's they've given loads of young DJs that were never there first time round a chance on the decks. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you know, the ones who were there as well, who've never had a chance to play out, as well as the bigger names. So it's just again, they're keeping to that organic ethos, and that's why I really, really like that crowd.
Yeah. Can I just interject here on a tangent? Can I just give a big shout out to this boy here with the with the smiley face head on? Rave Machine, Mark Johnson, what a legend, right? So big shout out to me missus in the middle there, and to Cherie. So this is at Angels behind us when we played Angels, and Charlotte, my missus, and Mark came on stage because we were just trying these costumes out for this one-off gig before lockdown, and they were sweating. He kept that on all the performance. What a legend! What a legend!
Did you say that was that paper mache? Did you say?
Yeah. So Charlotte.
God, it must have been like a. Oh wow, must have been red hot in there.
Oh, seriously.
Paper mache.
I was just laughing my head off. Yeah, so we nicknamed him we nicknamed him Rave Machine because he just goes, you just wind him up and he goes. But yeah, so what? Just kind of going back before it took off for you in the late nights. What clubs what were your favourite clubs? I mean, you mentioned Mr. Smith's. What other clubs?
Oh. Well, if we're going back to the Al Raving days, what the places that used to make us click. So we had a local place called Sam's Place. Again, it was just, how can I say it? It was just a normal club. And then overnight, it turned from a normal club into a rave venue. And another one that I've mentioned earlier, Club 4. Again, it was just a normal night. And then all of a sudden, it was a rave venue. And they were both rammed every week, but they only opened till 2. So after there, we'd drive down to the Eclipse in Coventry and do the Eclipse.
Mate. It was a bit dark.
Some amazing nights there,
but it was good.
It was. It was dark for us.
It was like you walked in and it was just boots and strap laces. It was not many lights. A dark boom, boom, boom. That was it, wasn't it?
Lasers going off, MCs on the mic, and all that kind of stuff. First time I went, I didn't know what to expect, and my mate said to me that had been before, "Don't talk," and I'm like, "What do you mean, don't talk?" He said, "Don't talk when we're going through the doorman. Don't talk." And I totally forgot. Now, I don't consider myself having an accent of any kind, really. Yeah. But we walked in there, and of course, the doorman went, "All right, lads, you guys are late. Where have you come from, Liverpool?" And I went, "Yeah, just down the road, actually, yeah." And they all were like, but they would sound like we got frisked, but they just went, "Go on, up you go." It was 5 in the morning.
Here's your gun, here's your knife.
But that was an eye-opener for me, because that's the first place rave venue had been to where you walked in and the costumes that people were wearing, wow. It was like they were dancing around in pajamas, onesies, you name it, all kinds of stuff. But they weren't bothered. And why should you be? You know what I mean? It was all about individuality and people doing what they want to do. Say what you want to say. We want to have a good time.
I know. Talking of Midlands, did you ever get to Shelley's?
No. So that when you go down that list of what club did you never go to that you wish you'd gone to, Shelley's is probably going to be it for me.
Yeah.
It was sort of a little bit, because it was sort of 91. Was it 1991 when Sasha used to be resident there?
Yeah, so on a sort of train spotter tip, on the back of Feel So Real, there's a picture, and I was just trying to get a picture on some of me artwork, and it's from Shelley's. I think Sasha was right. But what tickled me about the picture, if you've got a copy of Feel So Real on vinyl or CD, well, I think it's only on vinyl, flip it round. There's just this kid in the middle, this guy, and he's just off. He's just like.
Isn't that the same? Was that the same guy you said to you, "Oh, I'm on the cover of Feel Surreal"?
Well,
or was that someone else?
Well, no, he said it's him, and I don't disbelieve him, but I'm thinking, well, if it is. So I'm at somebody's wedding. Yeah, weird story. So I'm at somebody's wedding about, was it about 4 years ago? And this guy comes up to me and he goes, you know, the back of Feel So Real? That was me. I'm like, apparently he said it was. So I believe him. I believe him.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we used to play there with obviously when Sasha and Laurent and all them lot. So there was that kind of phase. And then it kind of went. And then around that time, another famous night, we all went down. I don't think I was even playing then, but we went out and Mark Archer and Alternate did the infamous Shelley's car park gig. So we walked out and we'd had an heavy night, you know, we were like knackered and all that. And it came out and we just saw this truck and everybody was like buzzing around it, giving it, oh, it's going to be a
Is this the one they used for the video?
I think they might have done. Anyway, so I've told Mark this. I said, yeah, we waited for about 10 or 15 minutes. I went, oh, I'm fucking knackered. Come on, I'm going. We missed it. So, yeah. But, yeah, no, that was a good. But, yeah, I know that was kind of around the same time as the eclipse. But
yeah. I'd say probably March 92, when things sort of started to change a little bit, where the heavy, I mean, you know, the euphoric rave is like the Dream Frequency kind of start of rave, when that kind of stuff started to slow down a little bit, when it went a bit more satisfaction-y, a bit more house-based kind of stuff, we used to go down to Renaissance. So we were there for the opening night for that, and we were regulars there for about 6 months until it went all snobby and up its own arse.
Well,
started making people wear white silk shirts and trousers instead of jeans and t-shirts, and we were like, no thanks, we'll go somewhere else.
You know what, Kev? I can't believe you said that, right? Because, right, so all my raving mates, so these are my raving mates that came up from before I did Dream Frequency, you know, sort of 89, 88 to 89, all that. A lot from St. Helens, AZP, IAP, and all Neil used all that. Well, I know Neil and that, they used to go to Renaissance. So if I wasn't doing a Dream Frequency gig, they were all going, oh, come to Renaissance and all that. And it's exactly like you said. They were freaking wearing leather pants and all that. And I was just like,
that's it, yeah.
Guys, come on. And oh, no, it's brilliant. You know, whoever's playing, you know, Digweed or whoever, whatever. I don't know if I'm factually correct saying who played there, but yeah, they were all like getting tarted up. And to me, as a raver, and I know exactly saying that because I know you just said that's why you didn't go. You just felt like you might as well have gone. All right, lads, pants and shirts only, and you're wearing shoes. Yeah. That's what we've got away with.
There was a huge contradiction with that, right? Because when it launched in Mixmag, they did an interview with the promoter, and I'm not slagging him off. He can do what the hell he wants, you know. But his name is Jeff Oakes, and he was involved in the brand for a long, long time. So they were interviewing him about Renaissance and it's, you know, how it started and how successful it's become really, really quickly, and said, you know, well, what's the key? How come it's become so big really quick? And he said, well, in my club, people get in an attitude. It's got absolutely nothing to do with what they're wearing. And there you go. 3 months down the line, they're all wearing leather trousers, white silk shirts,
and then dressed
up like a dog's dinner.
I kind of see where it kind of went that way because, you know, the rave scene had got so like, you know, I don't know, street or whatever you want to call it. And I can see they didn't want to let no scallies in. I get that.
Yeah.
But for me personally, and the whole music of Renaissance, am I right in saying that had gone quite slow? And I know like my mates were going to the Hacienda and it was like, you know, Kim Sims and all that.
It was very deep progressive.
Yeah, great music. And then it had gone really progressive, like you say. So we used to just go to the Orbit. We used to me and my mate, Doug, and Casey, we used to pick John Berry up from Eastern Bloc, who used to be resident Orbit. If I wasn't working, one of my best nights I used to watch either Rob Tissera and be Bezzy at Arc or something like that. And I just thought, you lot can, I'm not being thingy, I mean, I'm not slagging their scene, but for me, I like rave, me. I've told you many times.
Well, we tried to milk it as long as we could. We switched to Blackpool, of all places, and there was 2 clubs there. There was one which you'll know called the Love Shack. Yeah, so loads of Northwest names played in the Love Shack. It was underneath the tower. So it was only a small place, but it was mainly hardcore and the harder end of rave. Yeah. And there was another place which was more house-based, but 92 kind of stuff, K-classy kind of vibe. And that was called Danza. But it'd go as dirty as sort of... There was one night, Terrorized were on, and the Bassheads were on at the same night in Danza.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the residents there, remember, right, they were called Russ and Dick, which always made me laugh. That's a sixth one, isn't it?
That's what I'm laughing at. Brilliant. I'm just going to edit them all into one thingy. This is the preview of this. Just that. Russ and Dick, George Michael, toilets. Yeah.
In my defence, people, I'm not used to doing interviews like this.
Oh, no, mate, it's fine. At least you're not swearing like I'm always swearing. But it's funny you should say about PAs and stuff. I always remember, every time when we've had these conversations, like with yourself, whoever, it's weird how many things you forget. And one, I remember doing a gig in somewhere like Harrogate, and I went to this back room, and there weren't that many people there. I think we were playing in this other room anyway. And this girl was talking to us, and she's going, "Oh yeah, Bassheads played here the other week." She goes, "But it was really strange because on their PA backing track, they had a massive crowd. So every track they did was followed by a massive crowd." He said, "And we were stood there in the middle of the dance floor. Like, where the fucking hell is this? There's about 10 people.
Where's all these people?"
it's fucking mad. I love it.
I've never picked up that before.
No. So, I mean, whether it's true or not, I don't know. Allegedly. That's what I just think it's pretty funny.
Go find out, people.
I know. So, yeah, so there were so many nights, man. I mean, that was the beauty of it back then. You could have a good night, and still to this day, I think some of the best nights you can have are like 50 people. Just 50 people. Yeah. If you've got the right mindset and the right tunes. Yeah.
Yeah. Totally agree. It's not about the amount of people in there these times. And what matters is if you're having a good time and there's a good vibe, good buzz, that's all that matters these days.
Exactly.
You know, it's you're going to go into some clubs that haven't got the packed venues, but who cares if you're having a good time? Exactly. I think there's too much emphasis these days, especially on the newer clubs, trying to attract people for the wrong reasons. You know what I mean? And it just doesn't work. It's the kind of things, it's like boom or bust. They'll be packed for a couple of weeks, but because they've not got the performance and the DJs right, they'll just be empty again.
Yeah.
You know, it's like you say, the organic growth thing says a lot from sort of our era that is really missing these days.
Yeah, well, this is it. Everything's so throwaway and it's fast paced and people want it yesterday. You know, we're all caught that up in that as well. We're just laughing when Maloka said in his interview about when people taking pictures at, you know, a phone. I mean, and it struck me something he said about, you know, he said, literally, if somebody had pulled a camera out of any description, you'd just be like, what are you doing? Fucking DS? Yeah. It's DS?
Yeah.
Whoa,
thrown off the dance floor.
Wait, what's his game? Why are you filming me? Why? And now it's just like,
yeah, paranoid.
Look at me. And we all fall for it. We all do it. But yeah, so anyway, so carrying on, right? So we're in sort of 1998, and you're starting to blow up then. So where did it go from there?
So from 98 to 2000, that was me sort of Gate Crasher Sunday Essential years, and I bumped into Rob a couple of times.
You know, that was the next question. Did you ever play with Rob?
Yeah, I did bump into Rob. I bumped into Rob at Sunday Essential North, which was in Leeds. And didn't bump into him in Birmingham, but a place called Cool Waters down in Devon, of all places, in Taunton. Wow. And that was exactly one of them nights. For some reason, it wasn't packed. There'd been a huge headliner on the week before, and it was a weekly night. But Rob was the main pull on that night, and I was warming up for Rob.
That's about the seventh now, Rob.
I wasn't warming Rob up. I was... We start again. But, you know, the people that were there had such a good
family
laugh,
show.
You know what I mean?
No, I don't.
And because there wasn't that many people left, there wasn't that many people in the club, we were actually having a laugh with them, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Sort of getting them involved and stuff and doing all the whoop, whoop, and doing all that and waving our arms up, being all stupid. But they loved it. But moving on from there, moving into the 2000s, I've got to confess, trance, which I'd moved from sort of playing pumping house. Sounds like Kevin and Perry, doesn't it? Don't know if you've seen the film.
Yeah.
Pumping house or Balearic house. So I was playing mainly pumping house. So I warmed up for Tony DeVitt. Done it again, haven't I? Warmed up for Tony DeVitt quite a lot, which got me quite a lot of gigs at other clubs. So Tony DeVitt, R.I.P., absolute legend. Yeah, so moving into the 2000s, I was playing sort of trance stuff, but I got fed up with it because in my eyes, he started throwing nonsensical vocals over it. And for me, it was all about the music. I mean, fine, a sample here and there, but people were actually singing vocals that made no sense whatsoever. So I threw my toys out the pram. And at this stage, I was on 3 DJ agencies.
Yeah.
So I really shot myself in the foot. But I thought, you know what? I'm not doing it. I am not doing it. So the last gig I played trance at was probably it is the biggest club in the world, was at Privilege in Ibiza. And it was the Extravaganza closing party. I remember it clearly, September 2001. And that was it. After that, I thought, that's it. I'm done. So, but I didn't know what to do. It was like, well, how am I going to, you can't just change your sound overnight, can you?
Yeah.
But so I dropped back into playing progressive. Had made a little bit of a comeback, so I started playing sort of progressive trancey stuff and sort of faster housey stuff, not pumping house, because all that kind of cheerful house had sort of gone by then. And I ended up playing 2002, playing the biggest gig that I'd ever played, which was Serbia, the Exit Festival. If you ever get a chance to go out there, anyone watching, you've got to go. It is amazing. Because it's like when we went in 2002, it was like Rave in the UK in 1991, 92.
Yeah.
That's what people were like. It was just like no pretentious. Everyone's really friendly, no matter what nationality you were. And as you can imagine, being in Serbia in the middle of Europe, people from everywhere were there. And they had big names on, like, LTJ Bukum, Digweed. And they had me playing at the outdoor arena, which held 12,000 people.
Wow.
And I was 30 feet up in the side of a castle wall with dancers on scaffold on either side of me. It just blew me mind. And I don't know why they did it, but they put me on, probably because I'd started playing slower stuff. They put me on between 5 and 7, which is the sunrise set.
Yeah.
So as I was playing sort of tribally techno stuff at about 125 BPM, the sun was rising. And it was just one of them moments I'll never forget, because he had the smoke cannons going out and the sun's rays shining through him. And the lasers had started to dip a bit. You couldn't see him as much. And yeah, I've got to say, that was probably one of the best gigs in my life.
It's crazy, isn't it?
Beat Erda, which we both played at, it comes a close second. But yeah, that one was the one.
It's weird, isn't it, how like moments are etched, whether you're playing or clubbing, you live for them moments, don't you? Life's all about, on a deep one, life's all about, making memories. We like-minded people, and good memories like that. It's crazy, isn't it? I mean, that sounds mental. Going back to Tony DeVee, I never met Tony, but obviously he was an absolute legend, and he forged that sort of hard dance. Well, what was it called? Hard house at the time, wasn't it? But I worked with a guy who knew him really well called Steve Thomas.
Yeah, no, Steve
Thomas. And he was resident at Trade, and a convoluted story, but like he knew my other half, Dancing Divas, Nick Worthington, who co-owned Tripoli Tracks, if anybody remembers that.
Oh, I remember them. I used to play a lot of their stuff.
Yeah, so like Stevie Hill, there was Tarek and Ziad who owned it, and Tony, I think Tony DeVee had stuff on there, and Steve Hill was massive. And anyway,
Fruit Loop was one of the big ones.
Yeah, they had, honestly, there was loads, but Steve used to come up for a while, and I used to make some tracks with him. There was me, Nick, and we called The Experts as well, yeah. But he always used to say, what a nice guy Tony DeVee. And I remember him coming in saying that he'd passed away, like he was absolutely devil.
Well, mate, there's a little bit of a story behind. I mean, so if we was going to say, in terms of who was my second wave of inspiration, that's him, Tony DeVee.
And that was though, as a guy, what was it? Was it just his?
Well, no, he changed my perception on what I should be doing behind the decks. He just changed it completely. My mindset, where it was in progress, and I'm going to do another double entendre, but there's no other way I can say it. I was warming up for him at progress.
Yeah.
And I had a little bit of a chat to him beforehand. And he came in, and the first thing that made me laugh is he was one of these really old school DJs who used to use a proper phone as a headphone. So he's there, got his old ring, phone out, plugged it in.
No,
yeah, that's how we used to monitor what was on the other deck. And he he shook my hand and that, said hello. And in between tracks and that, I was sort of having a chat to him. And I didn't want to be a pest, because you don't, do you? Because he's performing. But I just said, I wouldn't mind a chat with you when you finish, just for a couple of minutes, if you just, give me a bit of advice. Anyway, I didn't. I thought he was just going to do one. Finished his set. He signed 2 white labels for me, which was his 2 latest tracks, but hadn't come out. Put them in your bag there. And we went and sat down, and he said to me, what's up then? And I went, oh, well, I explained the Bedroom Bedlam thing, winning the competition and all that kind of stuff. He said, well, you sounded all right, what you were playing to me. I said, I don't know what it is. I said, where I sometimes get stuck is I just don't know what to play next. You know what I mean? It's like, do we try and put it up a level, or shouldn't we be doing that because Tony DeVee's coming on in a bit, and do we need to keep it? And he said, you know what? He said, you just know. He said, you'll just feel it in your heart. He said, don't overthink it. Mm. He said, you'll just know. You'll know. Your fingers will do the walking in your record box, and you'll pull out the tune to play. Don't be worrying about what they're thinking on the dance floor or who's on next. You know what I mean? He said, when you've been booked to play a gig, they're booking you to play your music the way you want to play it. There has got a little bit of consideration. He did say, there is a little bit of consideration when he got into your last 2 tracks for who's coming on, depending on who that might be.
Sorry to interrupt you, which is a lost art of DJing, really. I mean, listen, I've never considered myself as DJ. I'm sort of a Johnny-come-lately, so I never DJed on vinyl, and I've every respect to proper vinyl DJs, But even I know when I'm doing my sets, if somebody's coming on before you, I always I'll play something that just takes it down so they can fucking crack on. Do you know what I mean? But I've been playing, rare, nobody that but the odd occasion I have played, and this is an absolute scandalous one. This is a proper, you don't do it, is taking your last record off after a minute. You always let the last record play out. So it's had a good, you don't just go, right, bye. Yeah, I've had one of them.
Or at least mix into the outro. Just going back to the Tony DeVee thing, just one more thing. There was one last twist to the story. Yeah. So in 1998, that was the year I got married, in July the 7th, 1998. I was due to play, and I'm not going to say with him, I was due to play on the same bill as him in August when we'd come back. Again, it was at Gatecrasher, I think, that time. I played him 3 times at Gatecrasher. And when I was out in Antigua getting married, I got a phone call the day I got married from my mate John. Thanks, John Yates, for that phone call, mate. Anyway, his phone call was to tell me that Tony DeVee had died on the day I got married. You know what I mean? So yeah, I was absolutely gutted. So it was the best day of my life, and one of the saddest as well, because he was such an inspiration. But and he died so young.
How old was he when he actually died? Because at the time, I think he was older. Was he older than us?
Yeah, he was. I think he was 37, 38-ish. No. He was nearly towards his 40s for sure.
That's how old I am now, isn't it? And you?
I'm
35. No, I don't know what Jess, but he fucking hell, man. That's no way.
But his sister's really nice as well. And I had a show a few years ago called Rhythm Nation. And I was friends with her on Facebook, and there was a Tony DeVee group, and I just messaged her and said, look, I wouldn't mind on Tony DeVee's, I can't remember which anniversary it was. It wasn't his 30th, because it definitely wasn't 1998. I mean, it definitely wasn't 2008. That would have been 20th, wouldn't it? Might have been the 15th anniversary of his death or something. I said, I wouldn't mind doing a show, dedicating it to him, playing all these tracks. So would you do an interview? So we interviewed her. This is all online somewhere. So we interviewed her, and he also had the other. It wasn't Steve Thomas, though. There was another resident from Trade that he used to be on with as well. But anyway, she said to me, oh, he'll do a set for you. So we interviewed, he was one of Tony's best mates, his sister, and then he did a set for me, and I did a set because I used to play a lot of his stuff anyway. But yeah, it was really, really sad the way he went. But, I'm sure he's up there looking down at us from them angels decks in the sky. He's a hell of a DJ.
Well, yeah, no, he is, or was, yeah. I mean, he left a legacy for sure.
Yeah.
So that, what was the next thing after that? Because you took a break, really. Like I said,
yeah.
I was making music, but I wasn't really doing any PA. So I get that. When you have a family, it's bloody hard. It's like
I did similar to you. So after that Serbia gig, I did sort of gigs here and there, but because I changed my style, I wasn't getting booked by Gatecrasher or Sunday Central or any of them lot anymore. They weren't interested because I'd really slowed it down and gone really quite tribally. But I wasn't bothered. I was more interested in playing what I wanted to play and playing less gigs and spending more time, with the family. Because Lucy, my daughter, she was born in 2000, so I kind of rocked on for 2 years, spinning loads of plates, but I basically burnt out.
Yeah.
And when I stopped playing trance, some of the agencies dropped me because I wasn't playing what they wanted me to play. And I thought, you know what, I've had enough. So I think it was 2004. It was like, forget it. I'm just going to pack it in. And I had, how many years? I did do a couple of gigs, but not seriously for me brother down in Wales in the sort of the late 2000s. But I think it was 2014. That was when I got approached by a radio station called DIFM, so they're worldwide. And I'd started doing mixtapes again, but started doing old school mixtapes.
Yeah.
Back to me roots kind of thing, starting at number one, retro number 2. And this was just as the online, like Mixcloud and SoundCloud, and they all blew up. So I started uploading them. And he tracked me down. It was funny, I was speaking to him today. The guy's name's Stefan Texier. All right, Stefan, if you're watching this, he lives in France.
Right.
And he messaged me through Facebook and said, would you mind if I use some of these on he said, I've got a channel on DIFM called Old School, DIFM Old School channel. That was right, yeah. I said, yeah, of course you can. I said, well, do you want me to do one for you live? Do you want me to do your proper one then? And he went, would you? He says, you don't have to, I'm quite happy with these. Anyway, I sent him loads for the playlists, and I ended up doing a monthly one. So it went from once a month, 1 hour, to 2 hours a month, and then a 3 hour show every month. And that's when I'd have guests on. So
I'll tell you what, Kev, when I set up Maison Records, my first label, house label, I did a show and it was once a week, and I'm not joking, mate. Every credit, it nearly put me under because you're having to think, and it just gets later and later every week. Oh, I've got to do my show. I've got to get all the records and that. How did you find that, like with the consistency?
Well, that then wasn't bad because it was monthly, but you probably remember that not long ago I joined Househeads Radio. Great bunch of people, no attitudes or anything like that, which is great. And I went in doing a weekly 2 hour show on a Saturday afternoon. I thought, this is great. Got to week 3 and I'm thinking,
exactly. That's when it kicks in, isn't it? Yeah.
And I've got a couple of medical issues myself, so I started feeling really fatigued. And anyway, I managed to struggle on for about 8 weeks, and I just had to get in touch with the guy and said, I can't do it, mate. I really can't do it. It's just too much for me. So I took a break for a bit, but God bless them, they've got me back.
Brilliant.
So I'm back doing once a month now on a Saturday. This Saturday coming.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Awesome.
So they did have me back. So hats off to them. Cheers, guys.
Nice one. So
yeah, it is hard work. Tell you that, because you've got no crowd in front of you, have you? They're out there listening. So you need to be more meticulous about what you're playing and when, and planning your sets and stuff.
And it's this whole reach thing, isn't it? You might get X amount of listeners, but then it's how many listen to the whole show over a period of time, and almost it's like, I get this, like with the streams, like me and you have done streams, in the lockdown and all that. At first I was a bit like, oh, how's that going to work? Because you're not really seeing anybody. You like Cypher 8 would say, you just talk to a blooming camera. But when you actually see the live comments coming in,
the chats, yeah,
it's funny. You end up just having a proper laugh. It's just, it
is.
I like watching the conversations within the group, like, oh yeah. So what? Oh yeah, I like it. Oh yeah, what did you have your tea? Oh well, oh yeah, he's not so good. It's mental, isn't it?
Yeah, people saying, oh yeah, I went to the garden centre on Sunday, and this person had the mask on back to front. You see all kinds of stuff. It's hilarious, but yeah, it is good. It's a good laugh.
I'm coming up on my Yorkshire tea and all that stuff. Just some wine gums, yeah. But so all right, so you had the break, and then in 2014, and then yeah, I can't remember exactly how because you wanted to make some tunes, and I know you've gone to Rave. and another guy down south who's a really good producer. And I think it was it The Journey that you heard of myself doing tunes for people? And
well, basically, typical, short attention span. I did the Rhythm Nation thing for 3 years in total, till 2017. And then I thought, I've had enough of this now. I want to play some new stuff. You know what I mean? I got to the point where I started thinking, oh, I'll play that again. No, I don't want to play it again. I've already played it. I don't want to be in one of them positions where I'm stuck into a pigeonhole where people are expecting me to play the same tune week in, week out. Can't do it. So I ended up throwing the towel in on that one. But yeah, I thought, right, going into 2017, I'd had a rough 2016, and I thought, I'm going to set myself some personal goals. And the goals for 2017 were, I want to make one tune that gets released, and I want to play one more big gig. Not too much to ask, is it? No. Anyway, I was looking around on Facebook, and the first person that popped up was Reza. So, hi Reza, if you're watching, I went down and did a track with Reza and it got signed to Zulu Records, called Let's Get Together, and that charted. Not very high, but it charted, and it was that was quite tribally actually. Definitely not one of my better tracks, but it was good for a starting track. And then I obviously seen your post popping up, Blandy Studios, blah, blah, blah. I'm when I seen where you lived and thinking, and then the deeper I looked into it, I'm like, Blandy Studios, Dream Frequency, Ian Bland, Toilets, Mr. Smith's, everything just sort of dropped into place. And then the thing that got me was where you lived, and I'm like, right, into Google. That's less than an hour away.
Yeah.
Because no disrespect to Reza, he's great at what he does, but it was a 3-hour drive for me.
Yeah.
And so that 6 hours there and back to make a tune, I was sort of in the studio less time than I was in the car. Yeah. So, it made perfect sense. So I thought, I'm going to give Blandy a go. I think we booked in for a session of 2.
Yeah.
And we made Twisted and Surrounded. And good memory of that, innit? Because I'm up to about number 38 or 40 now in terms of releases.
I know, I've had a look at the stereo files. It's a fair.
Yeah. And I sent it to, and this without anyone else, sent it to a guy called Rio Della Duna, who owns Vamos Music. Hello, Rio, if you're there. And he signed it up as an EP. And then that was it. It was like, right, when's my next session then, Blandy? When can I book in again? Because I was hooked. It took 2 tracks and that was it. I was just hooked. Because we had such a good laugh in there. It wasn't, I've said it before to you, I've got to get this out, and to anyone else who's listening out there, if you plan it, if you've got ideas in your head, right, and you're not quite sure how to get that, into a track, get to see Blandy, because that's what happened with me. It was like, I had a book of ideas, and it was almost like music therapy, because not only did it come out with a track, we had a good laugh as well. Going back to the old rave days, what we did, where we went, who we know, all that kind of stuff. Well, what have you had? Where you from?
Well, that's it. I mean, like I speak to other people who've been to producers, and it's like, I'm not always, I'm not mentioning, but it's like quite serious and like, can you try that? No, that won't work. And I'm thinking, I don't get it. I just like, because music should be fun to me. I mean, we've done this. How many times have we done where we've played something in or put an effect on it and we just go, okay, wow.
Yeah,
that's what it's going to be about. It's going to be about every time. So yeah.
And there has been times as well, mind, where we've gone at things for 4 or 5 hours.
Oh, you get your lulls,
hitting a brick wall, and then still knocked out a track by the end of the day.
Yeah,
and I can still remember what it got signed up to. Dirty Music. Can't remember the name of it now, but it got signed up to Dirty Music, and they loved it. And we did it in 2 hours.
Yeah, anybody making music, professionally or starting off, we all know you go through the phases where you'll be buzzing and then there's a bit of a lull, then you're buzzing again, there's a bit of a lull. And it's just part of the process, isn't it? Sometimes you have just got to go, you know what, let's just go and have a brew. Come back, fresh head, bang.
I think there's definitely been an influence there, though, working with yourself, because obviously, I've got a lot of that old Dream Frequency
So my little
12,
dog down
12
here. You can't
inches.
see because I've got the background. Come here.
All right, Bailey.
He's being a bit weird. Oh, can
Hello, mate.
Oh, look at that dog.
Hello, mate. It's Techno Dog. Have it.
Anyway, go on. Yeah. So
yeah.
Well,
I think working with, because that first track, that first EP, there definitely wasn't any sort of old school influences on that. But the more we talked about it, and the more I listened to old stuff again, I couldn't help. It was almost like a magnet lulling me back. But I wanted to stick with making the new stuff, but use old school influences. And anyone who knows the K69 stuff will pretty much know that's what you're going to get with the K69 track now.
Yeah, so from a producer point of view, this is what you were coming to with me. And I kind of might have said this in one of the other interviews without knowing it, because my headspace was obviously I was doing, you know, the Blandy stuff, Dancing Divas on a kind of US house tip. Even though I was doing Dream Frequency, I wasn't in the PAing. I wasn't making any Dream Frequency tracks. And I've said this like in all the interviews, it just didn't feel like the time. But unbeknown to me, when I was doing the stuff for yourself, it was almost learning a blueprint of, oh God, yeah, this old school, the vibes in the new kind of production. And the proof was in the pudding, because you can tell them like the tracks have done so well.
Well, I would have never have expected it in a million years. So, you know, getting signed up by different tracks, but the Pios to Resistance for me was getting a track on Whole House, which I did. And now I'm on, I think they've got a 19th there now for release. The next track will be the 19th releases. But what really blew me away, and I only knew this literally 3 weeks ago, you can look at a website called Beat Stats. So it's about Beatport and artists and where they are in rankings. So last year, I knew because I was following it, I managed to reach number 18 in the world Beatport rankings for Funky House, for house music, which blew me away completely. 16th in the world, and I'm like, hang on, Fatboy Slim goes out for 5 million and he's number 36. I'm lucky to get 50 quid in expenses.
So strong.
You know, but I wasn't bothered about that. You know, it was just a shock to see my name there at 16th, and then going into this month, looking at it again, and I was going through the whorehouse stuff, and there was a guy called Luca Debonair who was always at the top. He's under one of his pseudonyms called Block and Crown. And he was always there number one by a long shot. Anyway, I'd well over jumped him. I was at number one, and the nearest person around me was about 3,000 points behind, and I'm like, can't believe this. Absolutely gobsmacked.
I think the thing is with making music, it's consistency as well, isn't it? It's like making good music, but consistently doing it. And like you say, you know, you've been to mine so many times, and it's just been once a month at least, isn't it? And he's just bosh.
Oh yeah. Some months it's been twice. At least one track a month for the past 36 months.
Off the back of that, you got to play Beat Herder on the same year I played the first.
Well, I thought you were winding me up. Remember, because you told me that you were playing. And I'm like, oh great, sound. And that month I was booked in for 2 weeks. Took the following week, so 2 weeks later, and I come up to yours, and I'd kept it under me hat. So I'd got Nick from Beat Herder had emailed me and said, congratulations, you've got through all of the mixes that have been sent in.
Hey, just a minute though, big up the Beat Herder, massive. So good.
Yeah, absolutely.
What a festival. Listen,
unbelievable, If
you're ever going to go to a festival, go
Beat Herder's the one.
Next year. Anyway, we digress. But
I got this email, and again, it was a bit like that moment from the phone call from Ben Turner, and I'm thinking, hang on, remember the start of the year when I said one big gig?
Yeah.
So I'm thinking I'd be playing some small tent somewhere in this big festival, and then I get there to find them playing the Fortress, which is like, you know, the second biggest arena, if not the biggest. I can't remember if it's any bigger than Toil Trees, but you know what it's like because you played in there. And it was just immense. I was on 6 till 7, and it was on the Salado takeover night. Why I was on before them, I don't know. But I was playing the stuff I've been making at yours, and that's all I played. All the stuff had been making it yours.
Yeah, and I watched it, and it went right off.
It went right off. Yeah, I was like, come on.
And
there was one track I played that wasn't mine, and it was Strings of Life.
Yeah. But we dropped lucky, the both of us, didn't we? Because you were on in a good slot on the Friday when everybody was absolutely chomping because it was the first night. And then probably everybody was like, still having it on Saturday, but then there's a lull. And then Sunday, I got the Sunday afternoon slot that festival is just, it's, me and Charlotte said, Mrs. said, it's, what did we say? It's something sensory. It's a sensory overload. That's what it is. You're walking around and it's just a sensory overload.
It's as mad as a box of frogs. I've never seen anything like it.
I've never been to Glastonbury, but my missus has, and she said it's like a mini Glasgow. But it's just the vibe, though. It's just brilliant, honestly. I really missed it this year.
I wanted to give when I'm talking about Whorehouse before, I didn't want to forget a shout out to Gary Hoxton and Kevin Andrews and also Chris Hansen, because at a time when I started making this old school influence stuff with you, no one would touch it, and no one else was making it, but they put their faith in it, and I've been releasing it ever since. So I've got to take my hats off to those guys. Gary Hoxton signed the first track, and it's been non-stop since. So hats off.
Absolutely, it is a good point that actually, because when you came to me to make the old school, and I said, it's been really beneficial for me as well with my Dream Frequency album. We didn't even know it was going to work, did we? Because and now, a lot of the tech house boys, they're just using pure rave stabs.
Yeah, and techno as well. Alan Fitzpatrick making old school hardcore beats in it, and it's all over the place.
It's good to see, though, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? It's good to see. It's good to see.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we've done collaborations together with Divas. We've done.
Let's not forget the track that never was.
What's that?
That still needs to be Temporize.
Yeah, bloody hell, yeah. So we did. Oh, that's amazing, that track. Yeah, anybody who wants to see it, it's have a look on YouTube.
The only thing that was wrong at the time of release with that track is we made it something that was so unique sounding that even Whorehouse said to me, "What genre do you want us to put this in?" Because they didn't know, and I said, "House." Which was obviously the hardest chart at the time to try and get into. Yeah. And I remember an email coming through from Kevin said, we're literally a handful of sales away from the top 100 here. If you can try and push anyone else, and we missed out by a whisker. But it was
maybe a revisit.
Possibly, yeah. I think it would. Yeah, I'm going to try and talk Kev Andrews into a remake or another remix or something.
But I've given you close people who I value their opinion, and yourself included. I gave you the tracks of the album as they were developing and that for feedback, and that was, I really appreciate that. And then obviously I said, listen, I think you might have said it. I said I wanted you to do a mix on there, and Feel Surreal. It was just right for the picking. I mean, it's a bloody big ask, innit? But again, I think you took the same approach as Rob with Take Me. It's like, you can't really reinvent the wheel. I think it's got to have all the elements. You're not going to go off down a bloody...
I did sneakily try and plant the seed weeks and weeks before, because we'd mentioned going on about, it was the year before we'd started talking about, you should really do, another best of or remix them. And I said to you, you know what I really, really love? And I used to call it the Wasp in the Speaker tune. Moog Addiction. So if there's one track I'd love to have a crack at, it's that. And I just left it at that. And so when you said to me, because I didn't think for a million years you'd say to me, do you want to do a remix with me for Feel Surreal? And I'm thinking, hang on a minute. Did he just ask me to help him remix the biggest track that Dream Frequency have ever done that he performed on Top of the Pops? It's another one of them moments.
It just felt right, though, because we'd done so many tracks together under K69. The chemistry were right. I knew that the blueprint would be good. You're meticulous in your blueprints. You always are. And I just thought, why not? And, everything, again, I keep saying this, everything, felt organic, and it felt real, and it felt like it was the right thing to do. So, the other track that we did, we'll come back to Feel Surreal in a minute, was recently, was the Q track.
Massive.
Yeah, it sounds really good. So we've done a breaks mix and we've done like a normal mix, but that sounded amazing. So
And both charted.
Yeah, it's just the demands there. You know, it's weird. I don't understand though. What chart do they put them in under? Because there is no kind of
no. Well, when you fill in the stuff in on Label Works, you put what chart you want it to go in. So Beatport will either agree on, Label Works when you fill in the phone working.
Yeah.
So you'll say which genre you want, and Beatport, if they agree with you, that's where it goes. If they don't, which I've never had one that doesn't, but sometimes they often put you in a different chart. If they say, hang on a minute, that's not house, that's funky house.
Yeah.
They might change it for you. So the first one went in house and it charted, I think, at about number 80, 82 or something like that, which is really good because it's a competitive chart. But the second one, the breakbeat one, that's the one that did the business, mate.
Yeah.
That got to about, I think it was number 38 in the Beatport breakbeat chart, which had never been in before. So that was another new. Yeah, but that's the one that everyone talks about.
Well, we'll have a little snip of it. This is the track, The Cue. Check it out. So that was Q. Yeah, really wicked breaks there. Obviously, we're talking about yourself, all things, 30 years Dream Frequency. As you know, we've got this Kickstarter going. Oh, gosh, I'm sick of saying the same thing. But for anybody who doesn't understand, the reason we're doing the Kickstarter is to simply get it out on vinyl and CD and really just celebrate 30 years of Dream Frequency. I'm so proud of being involved with people like yourself on this album, and I think every track, dare I say it, it just does the business. What are your future plans, Mr. K69? What are you thinking for? I know 2020 has been a bit of a write-off, but going forward, what are you thinking? Because I know, like, I've done a few little techno options, but I keep saying, nah, stick to K69. I'm telling you.
Well, that was the ironic thing, because at the start of the year, I started making a little bit of. I thought, you know what, I've had enough of this. I want to do some techno, and then I'm like, no, I want to do some electronic, and I just lost my way a little bit for a few months. But while I was doing that, I didn't realise I was building up all the sales with Whore House, which was pushing me up to number one.
Yeah.
And then obviously it was like, you're like, you know what, Kev, you really do need to stick with this K69 stuff, mate.
I think you can.
So that's what the last few tracks have all been K69ers again.
Yeah, I think with anything though, it works.
Oh no, sorry, because we did another Dancing Divas K69 collab, didn't we? And that got up to number 14 in the Beatport chart, and it's still in the chart now at number 24.
Which one was that?
Feeling the Love.
Oh shit! I tell you what, I do so much music. Honestly, I am terrible. I can't even remember my bloody name. Never mind anything else. Well, there you go. I mean, we've done some Divas stuff with the K69. I think you should keep doing that. And just if you want to fill your boots with something else, venture off. But I wouldn't just put that to bed. I think you know this now, don't you?
Yeah, I think I've made peace with myself now, because I do stuff under Modulate, which is one that I did with yourself. In fact, that's coming out in 2 weeks as well. And if I fancy doing something a bit different, I'll do it under Modulate, just as self-indulgence, because I want to.
Yeah.
But I'm going to keep the K69 stuff going, because I'm now brimming. It's last week gave me a second wind on Ableton, because I've picked up so many tips in the studio from you.
Yeah.
Each time been there. I just had a week last week to myself really, and got on Ableton, and so many ideas come into my head. So I'm buzzing. I've got loads of ideas now.
we keep saying it, mate. Music is the answer, isn't it? Really.
That's it. Yeah. Absolutely.
It's total unification of people and thoughts. So,
and there's a buzz out there for it as well. So
hey, absolutely. Well,
so I can't wait to see what happens with the Dream Frequency album.
Yeah, we're getting there, mate. I think we're about 80% funded now, and I just want to say, to yourself, to everybody so far who's really helped. there's been so many people. I'm not going to mention individual names because I will forget other people, but you know, all the posts, the shares, it's really humbling, you know. And like I say, I want my vinyl myself. I've pledged myself. I want my vinyl.
Well, so I'm not going to blow sugar up your ass for the sake of it, but I've got to say to everybody out there, when it comes out, if you don't get it by pledging it, you're not going to get a physical copy. No. And every track is a banger. Every single track on that. And I've heard them all 20 of them, just amazing.
Oh, cheers, mate. No, honestly, it's heart and soul. And, you know, again, thanks so much to everybody who's supporting it. If you want to get on that and you want to pledge, you just basically hit our Kickstarter link, have a look at the tiers, pledge your cash. I want the CD, I want the vinyl, I want the booklet, I want just whatever, you know. And then when we hit our target, positive mental attitude, we'll be getting on it and you will get all your vinyl and happy days. And we hope to all see you soon. And finishing off, this is the remix between my good mate K69 and Dream Frequency. Feel So Real for 2020. Check it out. Stay safe.
Enjoy.